It's 2:43 in the morning, and I can't sleep. Again, my brain just decided that now is the perfect time to wonder. What would happen if I a Sloth were Sherlock Holmes' assistant? Like, imagine it, the great detective of Baker Street and his partner who takes 3 hours just to climb out of bed. Yeah. The London crime scene would probably not appreciate my natural relaxed pace. But let's be honest, maybe that's exactly what Sherlock needs, a little calm in his chaos. The first problem, obviously, would be the chase scenes. Sherlock runs, leaps fences, disappears into foggy alleys. I'd still be buttoning my coat, halfway through saying, "Wait, Sherlock, can't we maybe talk to them tomorrow?" I can already picture Sherlock glaring at me through the mist, violin in hand, muttering something like elementary, "My dear Sloth," but tragically slow. But hey, I'd still show up, eventually. That's what loyalty means, right? Then there's the whole crime scene investigation thing. I feel like I'd be really good at that. Actually, because while Sherlock's zipping around examining footprints and cigar ash, I'd be sitting in the corner still and silent, just observing, slowly, deeply. So slowly that criminals might forget I'm even there. And that's when I'd notice the tiniest clue. Like a missing button or the faint smell of mango jam, because patience, my dear Holmes, is a superpower. But imagine the interviews with suspects. Sherlock has that intense stare, that piercing intellect. Me, I'd offer them tea and maybe a blanket. Then I'd ask, "So, how are you feeling about the murder?" They'd probably relax so much they'd start confessing out of guilt. "I didn't mean to do it." They'd cry. "He just insulted my hat collection," and I'd nod slowly, whispering. That can hurt feelings. Honestly, I'd solve half the cases just by being comforting. Then again, there's the issue of our crime-solving schedule. Sherlock loves night work, dark alleys, fog, mystery. I, on the other hand, love naps. Imagine him yelling, "Sloth, the game's afoot." And I'm like, could the game be after breakfast? But that might actually help him. Maybe while I'm sleeping, he could reflect. Sometimes the best deductions happen between dreams, and when I wake up 3 hours later, I'd probably say something wise like, "It's the butler, obviously, total teamwork." Now, I wonder what kind of nickname Sherlock would give me. Dr. Watson sounds so respectable, but Mr. Slothson, that sounds slow. Drivers sleep well? Maybe. Or Lieutenant Leafeater. No, that's too jungle. I think I'd want something mysterious yet cozy. Maybe the Contemplative Companion. Yeah, has a nice ring to it. You can almost hear the announcer say, "Sherlock Holmes and the Contemplative Companion coming soon to a theater near you." But here's the twist. What if I actually outsmarted Sherlock once in a while? Like, while he's deducing the chemical composition of a footprint, I notice that the criminal's shoes don't match, or that the dog barked at everyone except one person. Maybe my slow pace would make me see what he misses in his rush. I can already imagine the look on his face when I solve a case first. Shock. Admiration. Maybe even respect. "Remarkable," he'd say. "Utterly remarkable." And I'd nod, very slowly. Of course, I'd have to deal with London society, too. All those fancy tea parties and mysterious barons. I'd probably spend most of my time trying not to spill my teacup or get jam on my fur. But maybe the Queen herself would be impressed. Tell me, "Mr. Sloth," she'd ask, "how did you and Mr. Holmes catch the thief?" And I'd answer, "Ma'am, we didn't chase him. We just waited until he got tired of running." She'd probably knight me right there. So Sloth of serenity. But let's be honest, every partnership has tension. Sherlock's impatience would clash beautifully with my slowness. He'd want results, I'd want a snack. He'd storm around, I'd him softly. But in the end, that contrast might be the secret to our success. Every genius needs balance, fire and calm, logic and instinct, action and, well, inaction. Maybe the world doesn't need faster detectives, it needs calmer ones who stop and actually think. And then there's the biggest mystery of all. What happens after the case is solved? Sherlock writes in his notebook, smokes his pipe, stares out the window. I'd probably curl up by the fire, watching the smoke swirl, thinking about how every case isn't really about crime, it's about people. Their fears. Their secrets. Their funny, fragile little hearts. Maybe that's what makes mysteries beautiful. They remind us we're all trying to hide something, and all we really want is to be understood. So yeah, maybe I wouldn't be the fastest assistant or the sharpest, but I'd be the one who reminds Sherlock that even in a world full of puzzles, it's okay to slow down and breathe. Maybe that's what true deduction is, not just seeing the facts, but feeling the story behind them. And who knows, maybe one day, Sherlock would look at me and say, "You've taught me something vital, my dear Sloth." And that, I think, would finally let me sleep.